70th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the Thanksgiving week 2011. This episode is titled 4.74 Degrees of Separation. It's easy to say. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me is the co-host for the 70th time, who also wrote the great title that's not easy to say, Justin Elstein. Justin, how you doing?
I did that because you're the one who always says it.
Yes.
So I made it as difficult as possible.
4.74 degrees of separation. I should have practiced.
Right. You should have.
Should have practiced.
Look at that. Practice makes perfect.
It does.
You have it now, don't you?
I do.
All right.
All right, we got an agenda, and we got some Facebook news times 2. Talk about some users and maybe a phone. Talk about Netflix news, which is cool because I did some things with my Netflix this week, which we'll talk about. And we also have some Google news, some holiday Google news, which is, I'll explain as I get into it, but I thought it was one thing and it turned out to be something else.
Oh.
Then we'll make our CloudFocus app pick of the week, as always. And we'll end up...
You're being very cryptic with your CloudFocus app pick of the week.
Yeah. You know why?
No.
Because every time I put it up there for you to look at, you then go and look at it, and then when I say it to you on the air, aka on the podcast, you're like, oh yeah, that. But if I don't tell you what it is, then when I explain it to you, you're like, oh, that's interesting. So it's more interesting to have people kind of listen to your reaction than you just say, oh, I already don't know what that is.
Were you just talking?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Sorry.
I could have put it all on the wave, and then you would have reread it, but you didn't.
The wave. All right, let's get started.
Let's go.
So the
Run
distance.
us down the agenda.
The distance from you to almost anyone.
Yes.
It's 4.74 Facebook friends.
You know what? That's funny because the distance between me and anybody in Facebook is about 17,000 miles if I do it through social contacts in Salesforce. Had to throw it in there.
Jab.
Ba-ding!
Bing. So there was a enormous research report that has been done in collaboration with a university in Italy, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the university's name, where they did the research on the 721 million active Facebook users and their 69 billion connections.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of connections. And it's been determined that that the distance between any two people on Facebook is 4.74. Less than the 6 degrees of separation that
Kevin
you
Bacon.
can play with Kevin Bacon.
Right.
Right. It's kind of like that game. And I just thought that this was really, really interesting. It's down from 2008, which when in 2008 it was 5.28.
Mm-hmm.
So it's down about half a person.
Right.
If you want to think about it in those terms.
Sure.
Which means people are getting more connected. There were some insights that came from this research.
Tell me about them.
It seemed as though Facebook users are likely or more likely to friend people like themselves. Odd, right?
No,
Clearly.
You think people be friends with people who are like
You know,
themselves.
well,
okay.
they were more likely to connect with people in their country and of the same age. And that, I mean, I don't know why that's such a interesting notion.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems logical, but it's true.
Okay. It's logical and true.
Well, but it changes the equation a little because if you take two people within the same country, there's likely to only be 3 degrees of separation between those two people than there would be if, it's just me and some random person in, across the globe somewhere.
Right.
Which I find that really rather interesting because it is global. And to think that myself and someone in China we probably aren't 4.7 connections away, but on average, that's pretty close.
I feel like it's one of those numbers that, it's fun to put out there. I'm not sure. I can't put my head around really what that means to me, other than, okay, so there are people over the world, and I'm only 4.74 friend connections away from them.
Away. That's right.
Right.
It means you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows that person.
No, who knows 0.74% of that person.
Right.
Right.
So 3/4 of a person.
Yeah. Again.
Which is a name and a face.
Relevance? Don't know. I will say, on the Facebook news, I've been noticing a lot more Google Plus usage lately. I don't know if it's because I'm in there more now, because there's a Google Plus Arkus page. So I'm just throwing it out there. Not that I had to Arkus Google Plus brag, but I just noticed I'm on it more, and I guess, and I actually use Facebook less. I don't know if there's a relationship. What do you?
My behavior has not changed.
You still use Facebook as little as you did.
Right.
Use Twitter as much as you always do.
Right.
And you barely use Google Plus.
Absolutely correct.
Okay. Is it because you have not? Have you built in Google Plus as to like part of your? I know you have Twitter as part of your thing. You start it up in the morning. If Google Plus had an app, would you use it more?
No, Facebook doesn't have an app. It's all about people and the network effect, and the people are where they are, right? So if all my Facebook friends were on Google Plus, well then all right, maybe I'd use Google Plus, but there's nothing that the platform is sort of the commodity. It's the people.
Right.
It's where the people are, and that to me is still Facebook by 10-fold, 15-fold.
I like when I start looking at Twitter and Facebook, Twitter still isn't very good at conversations, right? It still tweets, and yes, they can show it to you in conversation view, but it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't look and feel like a conversation. What I like about Google Plus is that someone can post something, and you can go on and quickly reply, and it looks and feels like a reply to that thing. And you can, and just like you can in Facebook, right, which is a great thing. Someone posts, I found a fun recipe for stuffing for Thanksgiving, and you go, ooh, what is the recipe? And you kind of have this little conversation. You can have that in Google Plus, but have it in a much more public way, right? Because then you can have a public conversation that you don't really care, more like Twitter. So again, I've always thought Google Plus was more sort of key into Twitter than it was to Facebook, but I like that mix that I can go in and do those Google that Facebook conversation stuff, but I can have it sort of in a Twitterific way. So I can have it with the same people that I have in Twitter. So I wouldn't follow, I mean, I'm sure the same thing with you. You don't have, of your 500 million followers on Twitter, you and Madonna, I think, you don't have, the crossover between them and your Facebook is probably a very small percentage.
It is small.
Like probably like 3%, 5%.
And you can go back and read my Social Circles blog post from months and months ago about how I decide to delineate Twitter versus Facebook. Google Plus didn't even exist at the time. I think it came out like 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn being the three sort of main ones. LinkedIn, I will say, I will link in with almost anybody who asks to link in with me.
Yeah, don't say that, because I've gotten a lot of people who just kind of randos.
I don't care.
Yeah, then they start sending you spam.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hit delete.
All right, next up in the Facebook news, since we're on this Facebook thing here, Facebook to launch custom Android OS phone with HTC.
This is a bad idea. I will start off by saying I think anyone who thinks that they can pull this off is mistaken. Even as big a user base as Facebook has, why does it need to be its own OS? I get
phone,
its own
device.
phone with its own version of an OS, right? They're taking Android and open source and hooking themselves into it, which leads itself to a whole host of problems down the road. I feel like the way that Twitter integrated itself into iOS is really all you need.
Right.
It's got the Twitter field on the contact. It can pull in things. If you ask it to update the contact book, you can tweet from anywhere. That's perfect. That's really all you need. You don't need the Facebook experience, the phone. I mean, I can remember. Do you remember ESPN, the phone?
I do remember ESPN.
It's just a silly idea.
Yeah.
The idea that a brand or a company that has a user base, just like ESPN does, they have a built-in fan base that watches the Ocho and all the other channels that ESPN has,
Love
right?
the Ocho.
There's probably about 8 of them now. And decided, hey, we can build this phone around sports and our universe, and it's a very similar mistake, I think, that Facebook is thinking. We have this universe, and we can build a phone around it. Well, not really. I have the Facebook app on my iPhone, and odds are my iPhone's going to be better than whatever you guys come up with.
I guess I can see where they're going for it. It's the, where you take a brand and you just keep extending the brand, and thinking you can make more money with the brand because it's got so much power. I don't know. I'm trying to think of my social circles. I'm trying to think of people who would think, wow, I got to go get that new Facebook phone because I can do what with it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people at this point need Facebook. In fact, I think there's probably a bit of reverse. I think people are kind of not pulling back, but they're kind of saying, okay, I get it. I like the whole social network thing, but I'm not going to be, have you noticed it with your friends? You get into a little bit of, yeah, you're a little bit in there too much there, buddy. Like, I have a couple friends, so I'm like, you might want to, not be on Facebook for 5 minutes and see how it feels. Like,
talk to my mom about that.
I'm going to bed. I'm waking up. You're like, I don't know. There's a point at which you think, yeah, maybe you want to pull back. So to build a phone around that.
But really, what's so different about having the Facebook app on my phone and maybe having it a little tighter integration?
I think that's a couple things. A couple things. People could say, listen, if I'm doing all my messaging through Facebook Messenger, if all my contacts that I'm ever going to contact or call are in Facebook, and their phone number's there, and their email addresses are there, then I could kind of see you going to say, listen, it's the only thing I need. I don't need mail, because I got Facebook messages. I don't need address book, because I got my Facebook friend list.
Yeah, but don't you want to... Well, I get that, and that's a good theory. But don't you...
For the hip,
how many contacts do you have on your phone? I'm using you as an example.
No, bad example.
No, I'm using you as a good
800
example.
or so.
800 or so.
Yeah. Could use some pruning.
Probably.
Yeah.
But you own those, right? They're yours.
None of the people who are in my contact think that I own them.
Sure, but you own that data. That's yours.
Yes,
right?
my data.
So, I mean, it's good and bad, right? If I change my phone number, I got to tell you I changed my phone number for you to update it in your address book.
Right.
But if I unfriend you, you don't lose my phone number.
Right.
Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Depending on whose side you're looking at it from. But if you have like a contact book, an address book, you don't want to have to rely on the fact that you're a Facebook friend with somebody in order to have somebody's contact information.
Yeah.
As an example, my girlfriend is no longer on Facebook.
Wow.
She left it. She's like, I don't like Facebook anymore.
Did she leave you at the same time?
Well, now
Or did she just not want to be in a relationship with you?
I'm in a relationship. Not with anybody.
Oh, okay.
Because she's gone. But I'm in a relationship. So if I was to rely on Facebook as my only contact address book,
you couldn't call
I
your
would
girlfriend
not
anymore.
even know her phone number. I wouldn't even know it.
That's the funniest thing to happen today.
I just don't even know her phone number. It's in my phone.
It's in your phone.
And it's backed up in the cloud, so I won't lose it.
All right. Yeah, I don't see it. Again, I think there's certain companies, this is sort of becoming one of them, that they get so big and I think Yahoo's probably produced phones. Google obviously has gone out and tried to produce phones.
That didn't work.
And it's coming back and trying to do it again.
Not going to work again.
They're trying to do TVs. I mean, there's a point at which you have to say, what is our core? And I know what they're looking at. It's like, well, we've gotten this much margin out of the core we can do. What can we push into? What markets can we push into? But for them to try it, go ahead and try it. Great. So what? You're going to have Facebook phones. I can't imagine if someone came up to me in my social group and like, I got the Facebook phone, I'd be like, you need to get the Facebook Life.
Yeah.
Because
I got the Facebook phone. Great.
Unless it does
Fantastic.
something, and now maybe it's possible. Maybe it does something so great and so well integrated that you're like that. But again, I need less integration to Facebook, not more. Like I'm not looking for more integration to Facebook in my life currently. Maybe in the future I will be, but right now I even forget to even post a status. Whereas other people I know, it's like they live there. I'm kind of like, yeah.
The best thing about Facebook over the last 4 or 5 months has been my fantasy football groups.
Yes.
In Facebook.
Yes.
That's it.
Their new
Other than that,
is pretty good.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't post statuses very often.
Nope.
Pictures once in a blue moon if I'm somewhere where I've never been before and I want to like show it off to people or something. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so let's move on from Facebook. Netflix.
Yeah, let's talk about Netflix. I think they did something really interesting.
I think it's interesting. So Netflix, as we've been talking about before, and even I think there's been a blog post about it by the one who shall not be named, Voldemort. Sorry, Harry Potter joke. Wow, I said that to you and you didn't get it.
I saw the last Harry
That just
Potter.
shows that you have not read those books.
I saw the last Harry Potter.
That is bad. All right.
I saw it with you.
You're turning purple.
Remember I saw it with you?
Yes, that's true. And you actually liked it.
I saw the first one and the last one.
Wow. So but writing about Netflix and Netflix sort of going through its, its changing of its own thing. They changed their policies, they changed their discs, they changed their, to discs, to just streaming, then they put them back together again. And before we talk about this next thing, I'll tell you what I did 3 days ago.
All right. What'd you do 3 days ago?
I canceled my discs.
You canceled discs?
I went streaming only.
I've never had discs. I've only ever had streaming.
So I have been a Netflix subscriber for, I think, over 10 years. Like something crazy. Like one of the first people. Whatever, not the first. But for a long, long, long time. And I've always had the discs. And I went from 3, then I went to 2, then I went to 1 because 1 was enough. And, I just thought about the other day. I actually had the new Transformers movie on Blu-ray sitting in my inbox for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I thought, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, oh, I know what it was. I went and I watched another movie. We got another, so I put that one in, and I got another one back. Oh, it was some horrible movie, but whatever.
Knowing you, it was definitely a horrible.
It was definitely a horrible movie. No, it was truly horrible.
Faster.
No.
Faster and Furious.
It was Green Lantern. Green Lantern.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So then I put it in to play it on Blu-ray, and it goes through about 10 minutes of commercials that I couldn't skip. First, it showed games.
What is that?
You know how, like, on DVDs, they don't let you skip the
Oh.
yeah. And I
Wait,
said,
is that like that's not a Netflix-specific DVD, though, is it?
I think it's
they
a
could do
rental-specific
right?
DVD.
Rental-specific, right.
Which is you can't skip the previews.
Right.
Not only did it have previews for movies.
I'm home.
Right. Not only did it have previews for movies, it had previews for games. So it showed me 3 or 4
games on what?
PS3 games.
Oh.
So at that point, I thought, all right, I'm done with this. The quality is not that much better than if I rented on HD on Apple TV. And on HD on Apple TV, I get 24 hours to watch it if I want to at any point in time. I can swap it to many different devices, so I can bring it over to my iPad or iPhone and watch it there. And I can control it. I can really go backwards and forwards and really control the movie. And it starts when it starts. I don't get this, like, stuff. So I just said, that's it. I canceled it. So now...
I've never had it. I've only ever had the streaming. I will tell you, though, the selection is... You kind of get what you get.
Yeah.
It's older stuff. It is just older stuff. But...
Wait to hear my pick of the week.
With this announcement...
I piqued your interest. Have I piqued your interest? A little bit?
You have. But with this announcement, Netflix is backing Arrested Development. Now, I was a huge fan of Arrested Development.
Fan.
Loved it. Have seen every season multiple times because I have them all on DVD. Only 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And for a while now, there's been talks of, is there going to be a movie? Are they going to make more shows? This, that, the other. Well, they're going to make more shows. And it's going to be distributed solely through Netflix streaming.
Right.
As of now. Unless there's some change to this. But this is a monumental, to me, shift in the way content is distributed to say, we don't care about network television. We don't even care about cable companies. We don't even care about iTunes. We're just going to stream something over Netflix.
Right.
And that is like skipping distribution channels that would never have been skipped even now. Right? You don't even... You're producing a show. You never think about skipping a distribution channel like television.
Two things on that. First of all, a television studio is actually producing it.
Yes, they are.
So it's... While it is kind of, outrageous, they're just skipping the actual end mile. So the television studio can still turn it around and sell it to iTunes. They can still turn it around and sell it and put it on air.
Well, presumably Netflix purchased the right to do this
My
so
guess
that
is
they
first
can't
run.
do that.
My guess is first run. Because what you want is the big bang. I'll give you an example.
Well, define first run
Let
in
me give you an example.
in this
Let me give
day
you an
and
example.
age.
Let me give you an example.
I was chiming in as an interviewer. Go on.
Okay. So a show that you haven't watched but you should, Friday Night Lights.
Right.
Huge success. Had like 2 seasons. Then was possibly not going to be brought back, but everybody got out and read, just like this show, right? Oh, this one was canceled. Then it kind of came back. A lot of fans. DirecTV came in and said, they bought out some personal rights that they could show it about 4 months on their 101 channel, DirecTV 101. I was a DirecTV subscriber at the time. You could watch the whole season before it even aired on NBC. So then it sort of aired for the first, I think of the fall, and starting in the winter, it aired on NBC for those who hadn't seen it. So this type of thing has been done, and I thought at that time it was pretty original. Like, so here's a satellite company getting content that people want, putting it just on their channel, so only people could grab it there, right? And then, right, kind of what HBO does, but this is skipping the entire, universe of TV, cable, whatever, iTunes even. Although I think stuff has been just done for iTunes, and saying we're just going to Netflix. I think it's great. It's just clearly putting the, I just wish it wasn't with the studio. Because if it wasn't with the studio, it would be really keeping them out of the loop. They're still making money. And they're
I
still
don't really care about that. I care about me being able to watch it. And to me, this is...
So what you're saying is you care about you.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, and this is a little different. I'm not sure how you define first run in a stream. Like, it streams...
First availability.
It's available on Sunday, and then... It's available on iTunes on Tuesday. To me, that wouldn't be impressive. Like, that wouldn't be even a big thing.
I think for this...
If the whole series or season gets streamed on Netflix, however they decide to release it, once a week, they can do this however they want. They can put them all out there. They're all there. Go for it.
Don't
what's
do
the difference?
No.
Oh, there is the difference. Yeah. The subscriber
it's
time.
Subscriber.
You need to lock them in.
No, you want this to be a TV show that comes out on Tuesday nights at, 8 o'clock?
Whenever it gets distributed.
That you get to stream on that time, and they get to see... And I read Netflix, call me up, I'll help you out. Because I would want to see, can we pull eyes off of people who are watching whatever, I was going to say Scrubs or something, but The Office. Can we pull their eyes at 8 o'clock in primetime off a network TV?
Well, the answer to that's going to be no.
I think you're wrong. I think they will be able to. How many eyes, whatever. But if they can make a shift in viewer pattern from a network broadcast TV to a streaming thing that's available at 8 o'clock, and they actually have people who come over and start viewing it at 8, right? Probably commercial free and stuff like that. That shows that there's a movement, right? And that they can actually change viewing behavior, right? Here's an example: The League. You like The League?
I love The League.
It's one of our favorite shows.
Yes,
right?
But I should say I never watch anything when it's on ever.
True. But if the League is something that you actually might. I've heard you say...
I watch it that night, but I never, ever, ever start something that starts at 10:30 at 10:30. I'll start it at 10:50.
That's because you want to skip the commercials.
Absolutely.
But if you knew...
I record everything I watch. But nothing else. Only sports are the only thing I watch.
If someone said the League will be available on 10 o'clock, commercial free, at 10 o'clock, and you start at 10:01 on Thursday nights on Netflix, would you go to Netflix and watch it at 10:01?
Only if it wasn't going to be available at 10:30. Depends what I'm doing.
Again,
if it's a Thursday night and there's a Thursday night football game on, for example, I'm not going to watch it at 10 o'clock. I still have things that I'd rather watch. And if, the thing with this Arrested Development, sure, it could be available Tuesday at 8, but is episode 1 going to still be available in 2 months from now?
If I were Netflix, I would say no.
Well, it has to be.
No,
that's the Netflix. Well, then they're breaking a model that they shouldn't break.
They're starting a new model.
To me, that's
network TV.
Well, to me, that's the wrong move.
Well,
you have to have it available.
But as a business, I want people to subscribe to my thing for a long period of time and get hooked on it. This is the drug. This is the crack cocaine. And this is saying, listen, we're going to put it out. We'll make the first episode. My guess is they'll probably even make it so your first free trials won't work with it. Think about all the ways you can get Netflix.
You can get the 30-day free trial 3 months after and just watch the whole season.
If I were them, I would put it out 13 weeks, 1 per week. And I would then watch behavior and see if I could change behavior and get people to actually watch it.
I think it would be a poor decision if they if they disappeared, like week after week. If you had to watch it within the week, that would be a poor decision, piss poor, because that's worse than what I could do with television. Right now, I'm catching up. Well, I'm catching up on Sons of Anarchy. I watched the first 2 seasons on Netflix streaming. The 3rd season, there's a gap. It doesn't exist on Netflix. The 4th season's airing right now on FX. I'm keeping them all on my TiVo. The whole 4th season. They're sitting there.
Me too.
I can do that.
Right.
It would be a mistake of Netflix to not let me do that.
But let me just say, you also pay about $100 a month to do that.
Well, I pay for cable. I don't pay for that specific reason.
That's what I'm saying. You have a subscriber service that you pay about $100 a month for that privilege. Right. Netflix is $7.99.
Sure.
So price-wise, you pay about $1,200 a year for the ability to record anything you want and keep it for as long as you want. They have space on your TiVo.
Right.
Netflix costs about $60 a year. So I mean, or $65, $70. So I mean, in terms of scale of what there is, I just wouldn't. You can't really compare them because one, you're paying a ton more for. So it has more features. It's like saying, well, I bought this little tiny computer for $1 and I want to do what a MacBook Pro does.
But it's stuff, well, I mean, this is stuff that's happening today, whereas I can't even watch season 3 on Netflix. That's the difference in the price.
But that has to do with...
I can't even watch something that happened a year ago now.
Right, because they haven't put it out.
Right. That's the point.
But that's the studio.
But if they have stuff, they gotta let you watch it. I mean, otherwise people are not gonna stay there. They're gonna be like, "Oh, great! Now I'm paying for one channel."
I don't think they would. You've often said, wouldn't it be cool if you could just pay?
I do pay for one channel. I pay for the NFL Red Zone.
There you go.
I pay for one channel.
Right.
And I would gladly go to my cable company and pick the channels and pay whatever they want me to pay for them. Not get the rest.
Only if your bill went up, because that's the only way they would do it.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's totally cool. I love it. I want to see how it changes. I want the internet to win. I want them to win. Me too. You know, I think the internet bandwidth issue is always going to be sort of how much can they really win. But I love it. But I also, again, with TiVo and HD and recording 2 shows at once, and now they have TiVos that record 4 shows at once.
That's awesome.
I mean, like, you know, they're battling back, which is interesting. All right, let's do one last piece. Now, let's skip this one. We'll go on. Maybe I'll put it in the next week.
All right.
Next week agenda. Let's get to our CloudFocus app pick of the week.
Let's do it.
And you're going to... So we're both... Because I think it's the Segui here is very good.
Yeah.
Because are both about this sort of topic matter.
That's great. Mine's about television and social, so it fits right in.
So mine's about television and sort of social.
That's good.
Go for it.
So I was reading an article that I found on Twitter. I think it was Marcus Nelson who posted the article, and it was about Yahoo and how Yahoo has this product that they purchased on the iOS platform, and maybe it's on other mobile devices. I'm not sure. I'm picking it for the iPhone. It's called Into Now. One word. Camel case, capital I, capital N. And what it does is it's kind of like Shazam, that magical music app, and I think you had picked one, Sound Jam, where like you press a button and there's music playing and you like hold it up and it's like, this is the song you're listening to, and it's just totally magic, right? Well, Into Now does the same thing for television shows. So you're sitting at home, you're watching television, you open up Into Now on your phone,
right?
You hit a button, and about 5 to 10 seconds later, it knows exactly what you're watching.
Right.
It knows the show. It knows the time. It knows the channel you're watching it on.
Even if it's TiVo'd?
I haven't tried it with TiVo. I've only tried it with, like, I'm just sitting around, like, watch. Actually, no, it does, because I was watching American Horror Story, and I don't watch that live. So, yeah, It knew it was on the TiVo. So, and then all of a sudden it says, okay, you're watching this. You can sort of, like, you know, say, yeah, like check in sort of, I'm watching this.
Right.
And then start having this conversation with all the other thousands of people who are watching the show at the same time as you. You can post it to Twitter, you can post it to Facebook. It's got its own little network inside of the app.
Right.
And that to me is television of the future. That is like I'm watching this show.
Right.
And we know people's behaviors. You're not, I mean, unless it's like an intense drama like Homeland, which I'm watching, which is like, I don't want to tweet during the show. I'm into this.
Right.
Focused. But like if I tried it with a football game. It knew I was watching a football game. I mean, that is like, all right, now I'm watching a sporting event with 2,000 other fans.
Right.
And we're just talking about it. We've talked about this, you and I, and this is an app that starts it, gets it there. And the cool factor is that it picks up the show that you're watching and knows, and you can sort of get into it. The cool thing, or the thing that I think is the most interesting about it, is the networking, and that you can start to have the conversation around the show. As we know, particularly during sporting events, it's fun to tweet during sporting events and get into that conversation and have it with other people. And you've never met these people, but you know them because you're talking about a topic with them.
Right.
This app called Into Now by Yahoo, free in the Apple App Store. Not sure, again, if it's available for like Android or I don't know even what other mobile OSs it might even be available for.
Whatever.
Windows, perhaps. BlackBerry.
Good one.
So.
It's
cool. It's very cool.
I knew you were going to pick this because I got like 16
I shared
invites.
it on Facebook. I tried to invite. I only invited you once.
I got 2 or 3.
Oh, that's a mistake.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you can share it through to Facebook. Like, I'm watching this now.
Right.
And then it shows up on Facebook.
Right.
Then people could post there.
Yeah.
Things like that.
It's cool. Very cool. I have to give it a try. I didn't know it had the conversation stuff. So I was kind of like...
very cool.
The conversation stuff is cool.
That's the sexy part is where it figures out what you're watching.
Right.
The meaty part of it, where it's actually worth something, is the conversations.
And the conversations, and is it valuable conversations? Are they just going here? I'm here too.
No. It's
I love this show.
Cool because it's happening as you're because you're all.
But that's the thing. If you're watching on
TiVo, it's not as interesting. If you're watching it live, like a football game,
right.
which I tried it in, it's much more interesting.
And then people are actually in there watching. Okay. Good. Into Now free from Yahoo. Yeah.
From Yahoo I started this off by saying I was reading the article that Marcus Nelson shared.
Yeah.
And it was not written by him, but written by somebody else that was talking about like the demise of Yahoo and how they should literally stop caring about anything except for this app. Like, he was very adamant about it, although I think he was a little wrong. But he was saying, social, future, you have something here, work on it.
Right.
I still think that, he was like, web email is on a downward trend. That's their cash cow, is web mail. I tend to disagree that they should stop everything and work on Into Now, but very cool nonetheless. All right, what's yours?
All right, it is not that. It is this. So, what is what we just talked about this in terms of the streaming internet, the TV on everything? What's the number one problem with that? Like that, if you have, like you're watching Sons of Anarchy, what's the problem?
I am.
What's the problem with it? When you're like, if I say go watch Sons of Anarchy, you're like, what? What's the next question?
Where should I watch it?
Exactly. Where is it?
Where is
it? Is it on Netflix? Is it on Hulu? Is it on their own player? Is it on iTunes? Where is the show so I can go catch up? So let me introduce you to Fanhattan. By the way, worst named app ever.
Does it have anything to do with Manhattan?
No.
Where we're sitting
and
right now?
And I thought it was when I downloaded it, and then it turned out to be something even better. So you start it up, and it's an iOS app. I'm sure there's other versions. Mm-hmm. And it has movies and TV shows.
Okay. I'm watching you scroll through this.
And you can
this
go.
is one of my favorite things when you do live demos.
I'm doing a live demo.
During the CloudFocus App of the Week.
Yeah, it's the best.
I love it.
People at home are loving it. It asked me to rate it on something. I said no. So then it says, okay, show me all the hottest movies or the newest movies or the top-rated movies, right? And you can get those. So let me just pick a movie.
Will this do movies that are in theaters, or is it just doing movies that are
the only things that are out? I think so. It's only things that are out now.
Out now meaning not in a theater.
Not in a theater, because
it's not out.
That's
now.
the only place you can.
Right.
I mean, out now
in the streaming world.
In some other world, right?
Right.
So. Right, so if I go the hottest movies out.
Bad Teacher.
Bad Teacher.
Bad movie.
Right.
I've seen it.
So it's
terrible.
gonna say it's only available in iTunes for buy or for rent now.
Okay.
Captain America. It's gonna say it's only available for. Let's actually go to TV.
Let's go to TV. Let's test it.
That actually makes more sense. TV. So go to TV.
Let's look for Sons of Anarchy. Because we just talked about that.
I could do that. I'm waiting for it to actually come up. All right. So here's a bunch of TV shows.
Oh, Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
I like The Walking Dead.
It says Netflix with membership or iTunes to buy.
It doesn't tell me what seasons.
Well, once you click there, it'll bring up. I think it brings up all of them. Yeah, it brings up the different seasons.
Season 2 is available. Oh, Season 2 is available on iTunes. Season 1 is available on iTunes and Netflix. Very well done.
That's exactly what you want.
I do. I want that right now.
This is the greatest thing ever.
Is this a free app?
This is a free app.
This is fantastic.
I'm sure they just make money on referrals. Well, here's 90210. And
I'm sure if you click on it.
So this one says Hulu Plus. So
Hulu Plus.
Now I'm a Hulu Plus subscriber. I know I can go watch that on Hulu Plus.
So that's the difference between Hulu and Hulu Plus.
Right. So let's go. Let's try. Let's see. I'm going to do a live demo.
Look for Sons of Anarchy.
Sons. I'm typing here. Oh,
there it is.
Click it. Let's get into it. All right. There's Season 1, Netflix and iTunes. Season 2, Netflix, iTunes, and Vudu. Who knew?
Who knew Vudu?
Season 3,
iTunes
only. Season 4,
iTunes only.
iTunes only. So a great way.
I want that right now.
It's called Fanhattan. It is free. and you can download it on.
I'm downloading it right now.
It's great. So it's now. You can, if you click on it, it'll obviously bring you there.
That's how they make the money, probably.
Yeah,
right?
they get.
Like if you were to click through, like you just click through to episode 10 of Sons of Anarchy inside the iTunes module.
I think then it brings me there.
It's probably going to pop you out, right?
Right, and it'll probably pass over, right. So here's buy digital.
There you go. That's how they make their money.
It's probably going to pass me to, right, it's going to make over. Anyway, I really like it. As a service, now I have a bunch, and I've even learned about new ones. Like even this Voodoo Video is like, oh, I might want to go check that out because it might have stuff that I might want to see.
Is this not universal?
No, it looks universal because I only have it, but it's not a universal app.
Because I have Fanhattan for iPhone.
Yep.
Does that mean I have to download Fanhattan for my iPad?
No, it'll download it'll work on your iPad, obviously, because I just showed you that. It's not a universal app.
Oh, you just have it times 2'd.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Fanhattan for the iPhone. Maybe there'll be an iPad. It'd be great if they put an iPad version.
It looks like an iPhone.
Free. Well, yeah, because I had it 2-timed. Free. All right, so for all the blog posts, we'll be one up later. We're recording this on Tuesday, so it's much earlier than we normally do. So the new blog post will be up tomorrow, and it'll be about iTunes matching, the matchmaker. A review of that. That'll be up on blog.arkusinc.com. Follow the company at Arkus Inc. Follow me at Jason M. Atwood, Justin at Just Edelstein. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/ArkusInc. That's ARKUSINC. Of course, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, which we've talked about a ton, but it's a great place to subscribe to it. It'd be nice if we were in.
Isn't there a Google Plus page these days?
There's a Google Plus page for Arkus.
Circle us.
Yes, you can circle us up. And if you're reading us on the blog post, comment on the blog or the podcast. You can comment using Discuss, which is a nice little social networking, single sign-in discussion thing. People have been using that more and more. It's great, so you can have a little conversation there. And we will actually reply too, because we'll know you did it on the blog. And that is it. Until next week, have a happy Thanksgiving for everybody who is in the United States celebrating that. For everybody who's outside the United States, have a day that no one in the United States will be working. And until next week, as always, enjoy those cloudy days.